So a bit of UFC chat.
Yeah, so has everyone kept up with the Robert Whittaker rumors?
Yeah, where did you see this? How did I not see this?
Yeah, I haven't seen it
with the
either.
MMA space.
Okay.
Haven't heard anything. Also about what I did hear about 10 days before you popped this into the podcast topics group chat. It was Whittaker saying, I would never even entertain fighting him again because he's too unreliable. And that makes a lot of sense to me because Whittaker is at a point in his career where it's like, if he wants to put together one last title run, which even I don't necessarily have that much hope for, more just circumstantially with where the division's at, it's going to be very competitive to get those title shots. Like, he can't be fucking around with doing a whole fight camp and then having Costa pull out. I don't know what highly ranked middleweight guy would take a punt on Costa unless they were just cornered with every other matchup.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. What I heard was apparently there was a bit of a back and forth on social media between Whittaker and Costa, where Costa was just kind of like, being all like, oh, anytime, anywhere, let's do it. And then Whittaker was kind of like, yeah, all right. And then Costa just kind of went silent from what I can tell.
Oh, nice.
Which is like classic fucking Costa. But surrounding this, there's also been a bunch of rumors that there's talks between Whittaker's people and Usman's people.
I think that that's much more likely to happen because I think there's mutual respect. I think there's a lot of mutual gain out of that fight for whoever. Sorry, not mutual gain, but as in mutual opportunity to gain out of that fight. Because
who goes up and who goes down?
It's a huge name. No, it's at middleweight. So Usman, especially now that he's not champ, he's fine with staying at middleweight.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think I think that too. I get it for Whittaker because real talk, I think Whittaker's in a place in his career where if he gets another title shot, I'd be kind of surprised. And surely he's at the point where he kind of has to start looking at big money instead of anything else, really, And I think Usman, it makes sense for him because he's probably and everyone's probably trying to work out where he actually sits as far as that division goes. We've not really seen, we're probably obviously he didn't beat Khamzat, but it's who will he beat? So I think Whittaker's a decent.
We call it a moral victory after round one.
Sure. But I guess what I'm trying to say is we're trying to work out what Usman's level is in that division currently, and I think Whittaker's probably, in a position where he kind of needs a fight. There's no one that obvious besides, Usman really. So I think it makes a lot of sense.
Sounds good.
That matchup makes crazy sense to me. And I think that's 10. So you weren't even trying to assert Costa versus Whittaker. You were just they had an interaction.
Yeah, they had an interaction and I saw, which is obviously now fake, but I saw a very legit looking poster for it. Which is when I messaged you about it because I thought
some of those people are really good at editing.
Oh man, it's fucking crazy.
It to them.
Fucking crazy.
I give it to him.
But I'm not gonna lie, when I heard that fight come out, I was actually kind of annoyed. I was like, who fucking cares? It's just when I heard about Costa Whittaker, I was like, great, it's two people clinging at a bit of relevancy. Is anyone that arsed?
It's so rough talking about Whittaker like that, but I understand where you're coming from.
Well, more Costa than anything else. I'm who gives it? You know what I mean?
This part, last couple of years of Costa's career, has been really weird.
Yeah, fucking right.
It feels like he's missed his whole prime, essentially. I don't know. And I wonder if he sort of felt him hitting his ceiling in that Izzy fight. Because when you evaluate his skill set, he's a freak athlete, but I don't know if he's in the freak of freaks category. And then when you look at his skill set, people are oh, he's a ferocious striker, but it's he's not a knockout artist by any stretch of the imagination. All the guys where he's got finishes, he sort of just overwhelms them with flurries and things like that. Don't get me wrong. Sure, I couldn't take a hit from him. But yeah, all of his best victories are what is sort of this gradual breaking down of the opponent. Even if it happened in the space of a round, there was never any one shot where you're there it is, he's finished. So I'm what's his because just being able to finish for sure, guys have been decisionators and made it all the way to get the belt. But it's just if you can reliably finish people and just not have to fight the full 3 or 5 rounds every single time you hop into the octagon, it seems to be good for stopping you getting a lot of miles on your body. Whereas a lot of these decisionators, just out of nowhere, the wheels fall off. And I can't help but think, like, is this just too much mileage on the system?
You really think that that will affect that much, like an actual UFC match will affect overall mileage despite all the sparring that they're doing? Really? Is it just different?
Could be massive confirmation bias. I just think it's different. Yeah, I think it's like the difference between. No, I guess we can't really apply the biopsychosocial shit to this.
More CNS-y, more stressor, more.
No. It's
whole
not
body.
that. It's that everything I hear about good modern MMA practices is that, especially once you're an established professional with experience, that you really cut back on the hard sparring. I think that there has been a very honest conversation about the importance of hard sparring early on, because fuck, how many fights have you had? You haven't even experienced the thing, or you've barely experienced the thing that you're trying to be world class at. Like, there is no way around hard sparring on the come up to some extent, especially in a camp. But everything I'm hearing is that guys through at least the middle parts of their careers are really dialing back the sparring to a lot of play stuff. This isn't universally across the entire field, because we're talking about cage fighters here. Like, there's just a bunch of crazy units in there. But because even like Strickland and stuff like that, like, he talks about just sparring is basically his main form of training. But I don't know if he's going in there getting blasted on the regular. And I think that's what it is. They're like, yes, it's a little bit less specific, but you can just accumulate so much just opposing someone else. So yeah, you can go like hit pads and do drills and then go spar hard and just do a bit of it. Or you can do a lot of this, like that real Thai style of sparring. Like in a lot of the Thai, Muay Thai fighters are known for sparring very playfully. And again, it is just probably like the most specific form of fight training that you can still accumulate a fuck ton of. Because there's just this issue with specificity in MMA.
Bit of base building.
Boxing, where it's just like, yeah, it's just too hard. There's very specific training. But again, it's very different when someone's just play fighting with you versus like legitimately trying to take your head off. Well, then again, I don't know. I think play sparring can get close enough to emulating that to some extent.
No, that's a good argument. I definitely agree. Like, you're putting everything out there on the night. So yeah, it's definitely will add up to, definitely equal to months and months of training, even more.
It is tough as well to evaluate the impact of 5 rounders, because the thing that overlaps with just is the tail end of a fighter's peak. Like, it's so hard to get to the point where you're consistently either headlining cards or defending your belt. That typically happens at the tail end of your career. So obviously there's this association with fighters dropping off not long after they've had a couple of 5 rounders. So obviously it's really hard to tell where it's coming from. And again, Occam's razor would suggest that it's probably just coming from aging out. But I just think there's something to be said for fight miles.
Yeah.
Max Holloway would beg to
Fair
differ.
enough point. Yeah, I know. There's some fighters where you're like, fuck, give him credit there. Tony Ferguson. Yeah.
How's he looking?
Yeah, not great. Not great. Yeah.
But again, Tony Ferguson, I think he was the spar like an idiot. I don't know. I'm making that assumption based off his wild S&C. And just some of the things that happened with his family situation just sort of screamed, I spar hard, but could be wrong about that.
Yeah.
I hope he wastes Paddy Pimblett.
Yeah, let's hope. All right, should we move on to probably the biggest topic, I'd say, maybe? Connor running for president. That's huge.
Yeah. So have you guys heard about this?
Ireland has a president.
Correct.
El Presidente.
That's how they say it in Ireland, yeah.
Apparently, yeah.
Can I just say something before we start?
Uh-huh.
You look at his whole X account. It's so informal, random
Twitter. I love his voice notes.
Random voice notes. And then
So
all of a
good.
sudden, he's flipped a switch where it's so formal about different things. It can't be him writing all that. Do you guys know what I mean?
He's changed his Twitter.
He's like
out there
psycho
kissing babies and
yeah, he's psychoanalyzing shit like this right here on the run sheet. Like
I think that this is just him up on a Saturday night deleting bags with the boys, and he was just like, I could be president. And it sort of, I reckon it came out of it. I probably was just a thought initially, And then he
Yeah.
said it out loud, and people were like, "What's that, Connor? What are you saying?" And he's like, "I can."
Oh, I'll rate that accent. That was good. Yeah, there's a few people that are backing him that literally that have citizenships that will go to Ireland and vote for him. But yeah.
So the
Everything
thing,
I can tell, Irish people don't like him. It's everyone outside of Ireland.
so this kind of comes off. Basically, do you guys know much about what's going on in Ireland just now?
No, are you in the WhatsApp groups?
No, I'm not in the WhatsApp.
Everyone always talks about these infamous WhatsApp groups, WhatsApp
right.
chats from Ireland that disseminate all the gossip about Connor and various other things. Anyway, I'll shut up for a second.
So
Talk to me about the current situation in Ireland.
I am in no means a political knowledgeable
You're a European
person.
correspondent.
Okay, I'll just pretend then. So, basically, there's a lot of like political unrest and tension going on in Ireland. There's been a bunch of riots in Dublin about various things. Like I think just like cost of living and all that. It's just kind of like, and a bunch of other things just kind of boiled over.
Rental market's fucked.
Yeah, but part of what it's about is there are some ambiguously worded laws and policy being put in place in Ireland currently, I believe, that surround the possession of, like, I can't remember how they worded it, but it's like politically charged material or something like that. So they're basically trying to like put a law in, which means if they get wind that you have, like something you shouldn't have according to them, they're allowed to just kind of like search you and do whatever. It's just one of those laws that's clearly worded to benefit the government so they can try and keep things the way they want it. It's one of them.
That is a worryingly worded law.
Yeah, and I definitely have not explained the actual wording of it very well, but that's effectively what it is.
Even if that's a misunderstanding on our part, it seems to be a collective misunderstanding. Like that is what everyone's pissed off about.
Yeah, whether they call it like politically charged or whatever it is, but it's that kind of thing. It's like it's like either like politically,
anti-government,
anti-government, or like they might even be like material that would like upset or like cause unrest. It's like that ambiguously worded, So that seems to be where McGregor has kind of come from, because for one, they're trying to pin some of these riots on McGregor, like for kind of like start or like fueling the fire initially.
Is he just trying to trumpet sort of where you cause so much uproar and you just hog and dominate the spotlight? Because honestly, it's not a bad tactic to winning an election.
Like any publicity is good publicity sort of thing.
For sure, but I think it's just kind of getting the people on your side. Like if there's that much, if the people are that against what's going on, I think it's like, I think you can kind of pick up a lot of momentum by jumping on it,
But it's also like, how much does he require other politicians to get around him in terms of a party? And is there anyone who's from the status quo that is like against these policies? Surely there is.
I mean, you'd have to think so.
Forgive me for stereotyping. Is it their more left-leaning party that's supporting these laws, or the right-leaning party?
I always get this. I always get left and right wrong, but from what I read, the riots were very much right driven.
So you just really a left-leaning party that put them in. That's
the riots are right driven. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
But the other thing about this is, I believe, so on top of the government trying to like suggest that McGregor fueled these riots a bit, they're now also using these laws to try and like seize McGregor's like laptop and shit, because because he's apparently got politically charged material or whatever. So that's kind of
talk about him being heavily involved with gangs.
Well, and like, look, it wouldn't surprise me, but again, it's like the whole kind of concept. I think McGregor's kind of been riled up now because these ambiguously worded laws are kind of like being used against them, and that's kind of where this is coming from.
Connor really doesn't like. He could have such a simple life. But he really does. He
loves the chaos. Loves it.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, even if you look at that tweet from Connor that I put in the run sheet as well, it's like he is just kind of like, he's not, I don't want to say he's not wrong, but like it's just that classic kind of thing where it's like, yeah, if you do what you're kind of saying, there's no reason why you couldn't. Like,
I'll bring it
and
up
this-
for the listeners. Yeah.
Yeah, so
sure, are you gonna put your accent on while you do it, Jacob, or are you just gonna?
am I going to read this out, or you got the screen share up?
Hang on. Let me get this up. Sorry. Yeah, run sheet. Here we go. All right, let's just readjust this on OBS.
I was just having a peek at it then. I like the angle he's taken.
That's what I mean.
It sounds like 2016 Trump. which
Yeah,
worked.
but like it's even just it's just that whole thing that we say so often where it's like, like can you imagine having a president or like a head of state or whatever who's like reasonably young?
At this point, yes, I can. After Trump got in, like I can.
They-
if anyone became the head of a nation, I'd be like, yeah, that sounds about right.
No, it's totally.
sure.
But that's like even McGregor just saying like these people are all so old, and him saying like I'm 35, young. You know what I mean? I'm just like, yeah.
I don't
like,
think that works in a country with an aging population, and I doubt Ireland's as old as Australia on average. But I don't think it'd be far off.
I wonder
So
what
you-
David Gray has to think of
if
this.
the average voter's like 60, they're like, yeah, actually, a 7-year-old kind of knows how I think.
Yeah. Okay.
All right,
And
should we
honestly,
read
that's
this for
only
the
gonna get worse.
listeners?
Yeah, whip it up.
All right, so potential competition. All right, start quote. Potential competition if I run Jerry 78, Birdie 75, Edna 74. I don't know who these people are. Each with unbreakable ties to their individual parties' politics, regardless of what the public outside of their parties feel. These parties govern themselves versus govern the people. Or me, 35, young, active, passionate, fresh skin in the game. I listen, I support, I adapt. I have no affiliation / bias / favoritism towards any party. They will generally be held to account regarding the current sway of public feeling. I'd even put it all to vote. There'd be votes every week to make sure I can fund. It would not be me in power as president. People of Ireland. It would be me and you. Prayer emoji, island emoji. End quote. Interesting.
Nice.
Yeah.
It's
Like
sort of like, I tell you what, this could be revolutionary because if you're going to have people voting weekly, they're going to need to digitize it. And I've been waiting to be able to vote digitally for some time now.
oh man, yeah.
Like that's something I think we could vote on things more regularly and we could express our democracy more readily if people just had a bit of faith in electronic or online voting. I
Is
don't
the fear of
understand how you
being
can have more
hacked
faith.
and votes
when I
getting
went
hacked?
to vote, when I went to vote last time, the lady was like, I did a out of town vote because I forgot I'm still registered to vote up at my old Bondi address. So I had to go to a different line. And I was at the end of the day, last potential chance to vote, I hand my form to the lady and she goes to put in the box. She was about to put in, she was like, oh, that's the wrong box. I'm not meant to put those in there. That goes to somewhere else. And then she was like, oh, I put every single fucking ballot, out of town ballot in that box today. All those people's votes don't count. And I'm there just being like, keep this to your fucking self. Like, I do not give a shit about this. Like, this is your mess. Just put my box in the right slot, wrong slot. I don't give a fuck. Whatever we're voting on here doesn't affect me. But every system is flawed. when it comes to
100%.
voting. Like, either you can computer get hacked or someone can just fucking throw the papers in the wrong box. Or like, I shouldn't say I don't trust. Like, I have somewhat faith in the system that we get the right result, but like, I don't trust the layperson's counting of the votes. When was the last time you were chatting to someone heaps smart and good at counting, and you're like, what are you doing this weekend? They're like, counting votes. Do you think I don't know if you need the best minds out there counting the votes. That's a whole nother conversation, but I don't know.
So I worked an election once.
Oh,
There we
wow.
go. This idiot
Yeah.
was in there.
Totally. And yeah, like that fucking, I can't quite remember how it happened, but there was some kind of situation where like I was like meant to be doing it, and then like they kind of screwed something up, or something happened and I wasn't required, and then I got a call morning of being like, someone's sick, do you want to come and do it? And like I basically didn't sleep the night before, right? For whatever reason, I was just somewhere, something was going on, but I was like,
Picking
fuck,
me up
money's
from
money,
somewhere.
let's do this shit. um, but yeah, so I worked this election on like no sleep, no fucking training. I had no idea what I was doing. Like, I can't quite remember how it happened, but I basically hadn't been like told or shown anything and was just thrown in there. And like, yeah, like the whole thing was kind of cooked. And there I was, like, counting votes. Like, it was kind of
What?
fucking crazy. But also, the thing that got me about it was that, like, the people that were in there counting the votes and stuff were all like very much party affiliated.
That's not good. But you have to
No.
be, if you think about like, how do you even get there? Like, odds are you have to be either like really needing the money or politically affiliated.
100%. Like, I was there for the cash because someone told me it paid really well, and I was like, okay, done. It was like $350 for the day.
It's pretty sweet.
Fucking not
Wow.
bad for like a day not doing very much. Like, had I slept, it would have been far more enjoyable.
That's crazy. We are over the optimal podcast limit here at Courtney Harvey, so I'm just going to finish off an anecdote. There is apparently, sorry, not an anecdote. This is evidence-based opinion. We were talking about this on the show a couple of weeks ago. We're having the scrunching versus folding. This is in lieu of a bidet.
Yes.
And yeah, scrunching, it's just objectively better now. They've tested it. They had 100 subjects scrunch. They had 100
Okay,
subjects
an actual
fold.
study.
They measured the excrement that they were getting off the butt. And yeah. So, and what it is, and this makes a lot of sense, it's the texture that you create and the ridges that you create with the scrunching that just grabs more shit.
I feel like the
There's no
scrunching
reason
pattern
to
is
make a
so
smooth.
so subjective. Like, it could be anything.
If you, which we love here at the High Performance Podcast, look, if you've been folding and you just like folding, just say you like folding. But you cannot say that this is like an evidence-based strategy. Further that I also learned, because obviously there was quite a conversation in the comments section. There was someone that was like, no, but folding's better because you can keep using the same bit. You just keep folding it over itself.
Oh, that's
It's just an absolutely horrid thing to sort of play out in your head.
yeah.
But like,
what
have
the
you ever
fuck?
been in a Middle Eastern country, usually in transit on a long haul flight, and there's the thing that looks like a bidet, but it's essentially like a toilet shaped sink with a tap in it?
Yeah, I've seen those. Yeah. What are they for?
So my understanding is that like you turn the tap on, you sit over that little basin thing, and you hand wash your ass.
Or like
It's
a
the
perfect
poor
thing for your
man's
bowl,
bidet.
for your balls. Just give him a rinse.
Yeah, you can splash some water on your balls, but what it's designed for is just hand scrubbing ass.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Yeah,
Jeez.
it's savage, isn't it? All right, it's the last UFC pay-per-view of the year coming up over the weekend. It's an okay prelim or undercard, but the only fight we're really interested in talking about, just some of them are good fights, but they're just fucking heartbreaking. Just some of the trajectories that a few of the fighters on the prelims have been on, despite having big names. So we're not going to cover it because it's just a bit depressing. But Josh Emmett versus Bryce Mitchell, it's sort of like, it's not make or break for Bryce Mitchell, but it is a little bit like, are you a top contender in the featherweight division? This is where I feel like we really find out for him, because as much as he's still got a lot of his fighting prime left, I don't think, the way we view it is he's probably certainly at the end of his developmental period. He's got to show us that he's championship caliber now. Otherwise, I don't think he ever will be. Josh Emmett is probably trying to put together his last potential title run. He hasn't had a ridiculous amount of fights. He's only had 2 more fights than Bryce Mitchell, but he just he's had some ridiculous wars where he's just had so many injuries in fights and things like that, so many surgeries. So I don't know how many fights he has left in him, but he is near the top of the division. It wasn't so long ago that he was fighting for the interim title versus Yair Rodriguez on that Perth card in January in Australia. But then since then, he had another loss to Ilia Topuria, which was a pretty brutal fight. Again, Josh Emmett, when he wins or when he loses, it's always in brutal fashion. I do not see how Bryce Mitchell is going to hang with him on the feet. Josh is going to light him on fire in the stand up. Again, if it goes to ground, Josh is absolutely fucked because Bryce Mitchell actually has a phenomenally adapted jiu-jitsu game to
So who are we picking?
MMA. What are the odds on this?
So we got Josh Emmett at
No,
260.
no, wait.
Oh.
I feel like I have to pick first. Sorry, just for cheat. That was my bad. Emmett. Oh, yeah, I'll go with Emmett. What are the
All right.
odds,
So Emmett's 260 and Bryce Mitchell's $1.40, $1.50.
That's interesting.
Mm.
Bryce Mitchell's striking's like quite bad.
Oh wow. Didn't know
And his
that. So.
takedowns aren't crazy. Kind of spams until he gets like that's interesting. I haven't really paid attention to Josh Emmett's takedown defense. I feel like his wrestling's decent. I don't know.
All right.
Yeah.
We'll go to the next.
Okay, I like picking underdog. Yeah, Josh Emmett. Hell yeah. And let's get onto that main card.
So, first up, we have Vicente Luque versus Ian Gary.
Crazy fight. I would back Ian Gary, the cuck. Did you know about that?
Is that his official nickname?
Yeah, so apparently the reason people are calling him a cuck, he's actually
Wife runs his life.
He's not asking people to rail his missus in front of him. But he turns out his wife, or at least his partner, wrote a book on how to date and hold down young athletes. So she's like 40 or something like that. He's in his mid-20s. And they both live in a house with her ex, who is a nutritionist. So there's just a very interesting dynamic. And it's cool because obviously like people are more progressive and open to different structures in relationships, but he's a bit of a zesty guy who makes fun of people, and people are like, Ian, you were going out talking all this shit while living an interesting lifestyle, to say the very least. So that's sort of blown up. But and that's what a lot of the conversation has been like. Okay, Ian Gary, he's attracted so much attention, shown such a spotlight on himself. Here's where we find out, can he handle that? Because it's a big step up in competition, and it's a big step up in terms of the amount of attention he's drawn to himself, especially maybe like negative, potential negative spotlight and stuff like that. I think he's got it. I think Vicente Luque is too much of a risk taker. And just Ian Gary's striking, say what you want about his lifestyle choices, his striking is just so clean. I think he's going to absolutely feed Luque. It could be a very entertaining fight. Luque has a really solid chin. He's going to be hard to put away. I just think he's going to be way too easy to hit for someone who's a bit of a sniper on the feet, such as Ian Gary.
All right, yeah. So Vegas.
Yeah, Ian.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I was just gonna say Ian Gary to me, like maybe I'm talking a bit prematurely here, but he just kind of seems to me like the guy they kind of want to line up to be like a serious title contender. You know what I mean? I almost feel like if he puts away Luque kind of quickly,
1 or 2 more fights.
Yeah. Like I mean, is he top 10?
He's definitely top. He might be fringe top 10. No, hold on. They're definitely both in the top 15. If he gets a knockout, he's probably 1 fight away from a title. If he gets the win, but it's not like a stunning performance, it could be another 2 fights.
Yeah. So that's kind of what I mean. I feel like Ian Gary, I feel like you said, his striking's really good. And I feel like, I haven't really thought this through, so bear with me, but I feel like besides Sean O'Malley, there's not much in the way of like primarily strikers, like in like the title picture.
Oh, there's a bit going on. You got Ilya Tapura and stuff like that, but they love it. They always are G'd up about an entertaining fighter. Like as much as it's mixed martial arts, people are really just there to see kickboxing in small gloves.
Yeah. Okay, so Vicente Luque is 9th, and I don't even think Ian Gary's 10th.
It has to be ranked. There was no way that Neil Magny wasn't ranked when he beat him.
Yeah, Vicente Luque is 9th and Ian Gary's 10th. So yeah, I just feel like
just stoked that we don't have another Neil Magny fight. Shout out to the male Holly Holm.
Yeah, sweet. Okay, but yeah, big fight for both of them.
How fun it is to criticize fighters. doing something that I would never even entertain stepping into that arena.
Oh, bruv. I was even thinking the other day, right? I remember, and like, this is a bit, you hear like kind of different things, but I remember hearing someone say that even the surface of the floor of the octagon is like sandpaper, like it's crazy rough because they need to grip it and stuff. And then I was just thinking, like, the amount of times those guys spend on the floor of that thing, like scrambling around and trying to get this. And I never stopped thinking, like, God, they must be getting scratched up to fuck right now.
Dude, what about like the cage?
Oh, yeah.
Even that, it's just like, oh, there's so many things that happen where I'd just be like, ah, like imagine if there was a fighter who screamed out loud every time they got hit. That would be me.
Oh,
Like
1,000,000%. Like, that's all right. Like,
I
Yeah.
feel like that could be if it wasn't for the verbal submissions. So I think the reason people don't scream when they get hit, other than the fact that they're just tough, is because that counts as a verbal submission. Like you can't just be like,
oh,
stop.
Because you're in their head, they're in your head, yeah.
Which I kind of wish verbal submission wasn't a thing, so you could play those games. You go, stop it, it hurts. And like just see if they can deal with it. Like as they're pounding you out, just be like, no, please. Let's move on. What else we got on this?
okay.
Oh,
next
just
up,
quickly
we
on the
got
odds,
Tony
yeah.
Ferguson. Oh, yeah.
Gary was $1.20 and Luke is $4.20.
Sounds about right.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Wait, how much is Gary?
$1.20.
So he's the favorite.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, okay. That checks out. Sweet. Okay, next up we got Tony Ferguson versus Paddy Pimblett.
I'm back in Tony.
That's
Whoa.
interesting, Gus.
That's a hot take.
Can I ask you, can you name Ferguson's last win and what and when it was?
Oh, who was it? No, hold on. Okay, so since he got the belt off Kevin Lee, then he lost to a TV cable. And then he came back and he fought what's his name? The guy who ran off the Pettis, and he beat Pettis. And was it the Gaethje? No, then it was
Pettis is ages ago.
Diaz. Well, there's one fight I'm missing after Pettis. He won a fight after Pettis, and then it was the Gaethje loss. Do you have this up? Or you just
I do.
Talk shit? What's the fight I'm missing? What's the win I'm missing?
Donald Cerrone.
Oh, and he fucking tore him apart with the jab. And then Cerrone blew his nose when it was broken, and that blew his eye out.
Yeah.
What? Ew, fuck.
Yeah, it was so apparently when you've got a broken nose, you're not meant to, because I think he felt like he had blood up it that he just wanted to clear. Obviously, when you're broken nose, you're not going to be able to breathe through it. And so he tried to sort of do that thing where you block one nostril and breathe out really hard, but it just blew up one of his sinuses and then closed his eye off.
Yeah, my mate Nick did that. Say, dude that plays drums in Gosh, who blew his knee out trying to kick the.
Oh yeah, that guy.
Legend of the game.
He broke his his eye socket, the orbital. Is that what you call it?
Yeah.
He broke that
Orbital.
playing soccer. I think it was like a head collision, and yeah, like he said, he just felt like he had like liquid and shit in his nose. And he went to blow it and just like I fucking swelled up like nothing. Yeah, like pretty much instantly.
Yeah, it's crazy. But it's not that crazy. It makes a lot of sense when you look at like x-rays of the sinuses and stuff like that. But yeah, I back Tony because what was Tony's last loss? Was it to
It was like Bobby Green, wasn't it?
Oh, it was to Bobby Green. Ah, fuck.
This is what I'm saying, Gus. Tony Ferguson has not won a fight since Donald Cerrone.
He's training with Goggins. Ah, fuck.
He's not won a fight since the 9th of June 2019.
Holy shit.
I think he can do it because you know what? Paddy.
He hasn't been inactive. Like he fought twice in 2020.
Fucking cool. When was the fight against Chandler?
That was
21?
22.
22. He's
22.
looked good in that first round. He survived the first round against Chandler. I think he won that round. Then he just got head kicked to shit. There's no way Paddy does that to him. I also know he's been submitted variously, sometimes multiple times in the same fight where he just hasn't tapped. I just think that he can handle Paddy on the feet. Paddy goes like hands at the knees with the chin up in the air. But then again, why hasn't anyone else dealt with it? I don't know. I'm just backing Tony. It is what it is.
Has
Sometimes you
Paddy
feel with your heart.
lost, or is Paddy
No.
undefeated?
He's only lost in the eyes of the crowd.
He's never lost in the UFC.
Fuck. Fair
Um,
enough.
yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with it. I don't know how good Paddy Pimblett is, but he hasn't lost yet. And I don't know. I just kind of feel like there's been like a bit of time off between fights. I wonder if he's going to come back looking like a bit of a different dude, or like maybe be a bit more.
If Goggins is going to positively contribute to your MMA camp, it's going to be after fight 1, not once the fucking chronic injuries kick in camp 2, 3, and 4. So I just think maybe there's been some sort of spiritual awakening. Like, I don't think there's much physical good that can come out David Goggins training Tony, because Tony was already well known for his gas tank. It's like the gas tank isn't the fucking issue. But yeah.
Yeah, so we
I
could. So we
sorry, I was just gonna say, I look at the people Ferguson's lost to, right? Like Oliveira, Gaethje, Beneil Dariush, Nate Diaz, Michael Chandler, like, and then Bobby Green. Like, I'm not talking any shit on Bobby Green or Nate Diaz, but like, it's not like they're high level. Like,
Nate Diaz has looked absolutely horrible his last couple of fights.
yeah, that's what I mean. I'm just like, it doesn't look great for Tony. The fact that the fact he's still on the main card is kind of astonishing.
Oh, it's name value.
For sure.
What do we got next? Shavkat Rakhmonov versus Stephen Thompson. This is going to be a good fight. Shavkat has finished every single opponent.
Wow.
Which is a crazy record. It's just, he got a bit pieced up. Not pieced up, but like, he gets hit on the feet, and I just wonder if he's a bit hittable and he might get exposed by Thompson, but it's just, the momentum is just too strong. And I think we've all been waiting for Stephen Thompson to fall off at a certain point, because again, he's just getting to that age where people in anything under light heavyweights start to fall off. So there's no way you can't bet against Shavkat in this.
Yeah, do you want to hear the odds on this? Shavkat's at $1.10, and Stephen Thompson is at $5.75.
I mean, considering Stephen Thompson's last fight, he went to war with Kevin Holland. I think that's a bit disrespectful, but you can understand where they're coming from. That's, I think, more just sort of seeing the upside of Shavkat more than anything.
Uh-huh.
I know I was just sort of put a bit of mud on Thompson's name, but yeah.
No, I feel you. Like, I think it's kind of that
I thought
whole
it should
thing.
be like 350 or something. Sort of feels fair.
Yeah, well, I mean, given the fact that Shavkat's 17-0, like, you know, they must kind of know that Thompson's going to give him a fucking decent fight. You know what I mean? Like, they're not just going to put him in there with someone fucking rubbish to see what he's like.
No one has ever. People have beat Stephen Thompson. 6 people have beat Stephen Thompson. No one has run him over.
Exactly. So, you know, he's in with a chance as much as that goes. Jacob, did we get odds on Ferguson Pimblett?
Oh yeah, odds on Ferguson Pimblett. Ferguson's at $3.50 and Pimblett's at $1.30.
The fact that Tony's getting a big shot with the bookies than Stephen Thompson is. You guys getting a bit more G'd up for Tony now?
Yeah, yeah, I kind of see where you're coming from a bit, but
that adds some perspective to it.
Yeah, I do think there's a bit of value in picking Tony there, but no gambling advice. So yeah.
Okay, we have Alexandre Pantoja versus Brandon Royval.
Royval,
sorry.
I can see how. No, it's right. Very easy mistakes to make. Shout out to Raw Dog. I like the nickname. I love his fighting style. Always in entertaining fights. Oh no, he doesn't have a win over Pantoja. I think Pantoja is going to be a bit too clinical and experienced for someone as chaotic as Royval to beat. Royval has a shot against anyone. It's just that if you're going to bring a bit of chaos to it, it's too highly skilled of a division. And it speaks volumes about Royval that he's got himself into a title shot scenario. I remember his UFC like main card debut where he had a crazy performance. He was like, Dana, give me the bonus so I can quit my fast food job. And so stoked to see him in a title fight. It's just, this is going to be a tough one for him. All his fights are tough because he's just a scrapper. But it is that it's so hard to identify his path to victory over Pantoja.
Yeah. Fair enough. We got any odds there, Jacob?
Yeah, we got Pantoja sitting at $1.50 and Royval at $2.50. So a bit closer.
Calling it now, Royval at some point initiates a scramble where it looks like he's got Pantoja in danger, then gets reversed and submitted.
Ooh.
Interesting.
I'm picking.
Interesting. Okay, and the big main event, we have Leon Edwards versus Colby Covington.
It's just, I feel like a lot of people are just viewing this through the lens of he already beat Usman twice. Usman's wrestling's better than Covington. I just wonder if Leon can, the biggest issue with him will be handling the pressure of Covington, because Usman, while being a better wrestler, and definitely having more power and probably being a more effective striker, he doesn't have the suffocating pressure of Colby Covington. Covington will be in his face from the moment the bell goes. And I just think Leon has a tendency to get frustrated. And I don't like that aspect of the matchup for him. But his striking's incredibly clean. Momentum's on his side. I think he should get the win. But like I said, I still just think Covington's a huge threat. The other thing is we haven't seen Covington in a while.
He's barely even active, is he?
Yeah, well, he knows he has a big brand. He sort of knew that the state of the welterweight division meant that he could wait around and he was likely to get a title shot at some point. There was also him being involved in the lawsuit against Masvidal that was preventing him from fighting.
Right.
Yeah. But all that's a factor. But like I said, I lean towards Leon because there's no reason after seeing how he dealt with Usman to doubt Leon's ability to deal with Colby. But like I said, if there's anything that gets him, it will just be that stifling pressure. And I'm talking like more in a striking sense. And initiating takedowns and stuff like that. But I think that's how it would look, like not a traditional wrestle fucking.
Yeah. I think it's an interesting one, purely just based off like, I feel like, because Covington basically fucked up everyone he fought other than Usman.
Define fucked up.
Well, one.
Punched close to 400 times without doing any appreciable damage. But
well, I just
dominate. He dominated.
Well, the way I understood that division was that like it was basically everyone else here. Then Colby was like above them, and then Usman was just above Colby. And like I feel like Colby Covington probably got to this stage where he was like, right, well, I'm clearly the best person in this division other than Usman, but I've lost to Usman, what is it, twice or 3 times? Twice. He's like, I've lost twice to him. It's just not going to happen for me. And all of a sudden, Leon gets the fucking belt and probably like, holy shit. Like, maybe.
Oh, no, for sure. For sure, that's what he saw happening. Yeah, like I said, justified to sit out. Like, it was this real smart play by Colby to do that. Perfect timing. Understanding the value of his stocks. But yeah, I just think Leon should be able to get a solid decision here.
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to be that entertaining of a fight necessarily.
Okay. I just
honestly, both the title fights, I'm like, they have the potential to deliver, but I don't think it's like guaranteed awesome fights.
Yeah, I just think this fight's interesting because it's the first time. Because real talk, I don't think anyone saw Leon getting the belt.
I was pouring myself a cup of water.
Yeah, exactly. And then I think when he did get it and then went straight for the rematch, I think like everyone was kind of like, right, let's see how this actually goes. And now everyone's like, okay, he's still champ. I think everyone's like, anyway, I'm kind of like, how the fuck does Leon Edwards look as a champion not fighting Usman? Do you know what I mean? Like, I just think it's just given such a kind of like.
The wisdom is you get a 20% skills buff with the belt.
Yeah. Oh, no doubt.
It looks like it too.
No doubt. But that's what I mean. I guess I'm just a bit like, I feel like this is the first time we're seeing Leon fight as champion.
Yes, yeah, because there was a lot of doubt going into that for that rematch against Usman. I agree with you. Yeah, this is like he's like undeniable champ now.
Yeah, and I kind of want to see what that looks like because apart from this, I also think if anyone's going to take the belt off him, it's probably Colby.
There's a few other people out and about, but yeah, I see what you mean. Shavkat is counted.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, there's always someone around the corner, but yeah, I'm kind of keen to see how this goes. But I just also it would be kind of exciting if Colby got the belt purely because I think, then Usman's kind of like, hey, what up?
Just the combination of champions, Sean O'Malley, Colby Covington, and Sean Strickland for like overlapping, slightly separate, but for sure overlapping sort of hatred from the fan base.
Oh yeah, very common theme, I'd say. Yeah.
Fucking amazing.
Oh yeah.
This might have been one of our longest episodes to date. Time to put Bad Boy to bed. Got to release this one, make sure it's still relevant before the weekend. Actually, when is that card?
This weekend.
Yeah, in 5 days. Guys, we'll catch you next week. We got guests coming back on the show. If you're listening to this on Thursday, on Monday, we're debuting guests again. Going to leave it as a surprise as to who that guest is, but keep an eye out. Podcast will be dropping on all platforms. Our first guest episode coming out Monday. YouTube will be there as well, so keep an eye out for that.